You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Looking forward to speaking with you today, as always, on our Total Wellness Tuesdays show. Love to share a little bit about this question that actually came in on one of our Cabral House Call Weekend Edition shows. The person was asking, what's the difference between a steam and a sauna? And if I could do a podcast on that. So, of course, I'm happy to speak on that today. Definitely, probably just, I would say it's going to go through a 10-minute show, right? Which is a little longer than I would give for a house call answer. This is actually a pretty popular question. A lot of people might be able to put a steam or a sauna into their house, and they want to know which one is more beneficial. So let's get right into today's topic. And because there is actually a clear difference between the two. And, from a personal standpoint, before I had, done my naturopathic studies, before I traveled to India and Sri Lanka, I wouldn't have really known the difference. I would say, well, they're both hot and they both make you sweat. So you're probably going to get the benefit from, either one. But it's actually not true. So the difference is, yes, there's absolutely benefits from each, but they're different. So just to tell what each one is the steam is actually a wet room that you go into, right? And a sauna is a dry room. So a steam is usually ceramic that you sit on, and it's glass. So, and that's because everything can get wet. Like, that's the whole point. And really what it is a generator, a steam generator that's boiling water to make steam. And it's usually somewhere around 110 degrees to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's about 100% humidity. So it's essentially raining inside of the room the entire time. Everything is wet. And you're going in there because you want to sweat. That's the whole point for either a steam or a sauna. But since you're getting the 100% humidity with the steam, you're going to get different benefits. So when I was over in, again, I got both training in both Sri Lanka and India. And I was in India multiple times as well in Ayurvedic clinics. So that's the whole point is Ayurveda, they use this 6,000 plus years ago. They also use something called sunbathing, which today we would just think of like lying out at a beach. But they would actually pack clays on people. I know that's a different show's topic, but there's a reason why they had people do steam and people do sauna. So when I was over there, I remember one specific time myself, besides myself being a resident at one of these clinics and helping out the patients there, is that I had a terrible upper respiratory cold. And so what they did was they put me into what was a face-based steam. So with that, I covered my head with towel, and I had this big vat of boiling water, hot water. And there was a little bit of eucalyptus leaves and a little bit of lavender. And the eucalyptus really helped to open up my nasal passages. And I was learning, it felt amazing. All I wanted to do was stay in that the entire day. And so the steam helps to open up blockages. The wetness from the steam helps to break up nasal and lung congestion, a cough, any type of sinus, upper respiratory-based issues. And so when you're picking, what should I do? Well, if you have any upper respiratory issues, a cough, congestion, a steam is a great choice. It really is. And also, for people with dry skin or flaky skin, a steam is also more hydrating. That wetness on the skin is a little bit more hydrating for sure than a dry sauna. But you want to also keep in mind that it's not the best for people with joint issues. And you'll know a lot of people out there with arthritis or different issues, when it rains, their joints actually hurt a little bit more. It's the dampness. So Ayurveda calls that dampness. Traditional Chinese medicine calls it dampness as well. And that dampness affects the joints. And so a steam is not the best choice if you have a lot more arthritis. The dry sauna, the infrared sauna, put on maybe a mid-infrared setting would be even better. Okay. And also, a steam is fantastic for the Vata body type. Now, why would it be good for the Vata body type? Well, they're known to be more dry. And if a body type's more dry, how do we balance that? Well, we balance it with wetness, right? And so when you look at every form of medicine, literally every form of medicine and philosophy in the world and martial arts, everything except conventional medicine. So literally, it's funny that conventional medicine thinks that they're so smart, they're the ones who have all the answers, when they're going against the grain of everyone else. And when you look at the research with conventional medicine, they are wrong 100% of the time when they go against the ancient wisdoms. And because the ancient wisdoms knew from the very dawn of time that there's a balance to everything in life. There is that, that Chinese symbol that people call the yin and the yang, right? There's always an opposing force. And so when we become too full, what do? Well, we fast for a period of time. We need to digest that food. When we just are working too hard, what do? We need rest, right? We need some time off. We've had a lot of time off. We're like, wow, I really need to get back to doing something. There's always a balance. And so for the Vata type, when they're very dry, a good thing to use is the steam, for not too long. Now, one of the dangers about a steam that we have to watch out for is that your typical health club or even your typical home steam is not going to have the water filtered. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the water that they're using to boil is turning into a vapor. Now, that's very dangerous from a gas perspective when you look that the chlorine and fluoride and potentially heavy metals in that water are now airborne. And you're breathing them directly into your lungs. That is so much more dangerous than just drinking them alone. And the reason is they're going directly into your bloodstream. A lot of people know when you vaporize something, it gets right into the capillaries. It gets right into your bloodstream. Really, really important. So I can't recommend a steam unless you know that water has been filtered. And there are whole house filters if you're going to do your own. And why don't I do this? Today's podcast, I will link up my previous show that I did on water filters. So you can just go to stephencabral.com/550 for today's show notes. Anything I mention, I will link up. Okay. So we used a lot of steam when I was over in India and Sri Lanka, and I was at these Ayurvedic clinics. That was a big part of it. Why? Because whether you're doing steam or you're doing sauna, your body is detoxifying. You are pushing out heavy metals and toxins. You're allowing your liver to not have to do as much, your lungs not to have to do as much, your kidneys not to have to do as much. That is amazing. Really. The research is there. You have to sweat. You have to sweat on basically a daily basis. That would have happened as humans living in warm climates where we were all essentially where we all came from. That would have been normal. That's part of our physiology. We're missing that now. We need to do that. Okay. Next up is the sauna. Well, a sauna is made typically of wood, almost 100% of the time. And as you've heard in my previous sauna shows, and again, I'll link that up in today's show notes. If you didn't check that out, you have to check out those shows. And I always recommend either a beechwood or a hemlock. And the reason is those are hypoallergenic and they're not going to off gas while you're in there. Okay. Now, the other thing is, a steam's around 110, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, a sauna is around 120 to 200 plus degrees Fahrenheit. Really, really impressive. Now, the Finnish style saunas, not the infrared, are closer to the 180 to 200. And the infrared saunas are more like 120 to 150. So that you can be in there a little longer and get a little bit more of the infrared-based benefits. We're just going to talk about sauna in general today. I've already done shows on infrared saunas before. And again, check that out just by going to stephencabral.com/podcasts. And if you go down the page, you can just type in a nice little search box, sauna, and you'll see all the shows I've done before on saunas. So what is a sauna good for? Well, it is remarkable for increasing circulation. So that helps to decrease inflammation. It helps to decrease pain. It helps with arthritis. It helps to lower blood pressure. It helps with stress hormones. It helps with muscle stimulation and recovery. It's more thermogenic since it's hotter, so it's going to burn more calories. It's going to boost the metabolism to a greater degree. And there are a lot of studies right now supporting longevity with it. So again, on my previous Cabral concept, I talked about 19 minutes of this decreases overall mortality, all-cause mortality, meaning anything you could die from, by 40%. Literally, I'm going to say it over and over and over. If there was a drug that was ever invented, that decreased your chance of dying from anything by 40%, it would be a $10 trillion drug or more. And 19 minutes of sauna 4 times a week decreases cardiovascular death by 63%. This is a long-term study done in Finland on over 2,000 people. Remember, there is nothing that touches that. That is some remarkable research. So that's another big thing, is that there's a lot more research on the sauna than there is the steam. So my recommendation is, if you're looking to get one for your home, a steam breaks down so much more. Remember, I lived in the health club industry forever. Like, I know those things break down quite often. I have nothing against a sauna or a steam. You can use both. Again, you can use both. No problem at all. I'm just saying I need to steer you to what I know works best and what I've seen work best and the most research. And that's without a doubt sauna or infrared sauna. Infrared sauna, you'll get different benefits and potentially more benefits. So here's the thing. A sauna is most likely less expensive. And again, I'll link up to my previous podcast. I gave you 4 different options to choose from: a lower end, a moderate, a higher end, very expensive, whatever you want to do. Sky's the limit. But the last one I just reviewed, man, if that thing lasts you 5 years, it's a cost of like 30 cents a day. That's the really great thing, is that if you use it, it is remarkable what it can do for your health. And one more thing about the sauna is that if anyone's dealing with what we call a kapha-based disorder in Ayurveda. So a kapha-based disorder is the dampness in the body. Okay. It is an accumulation of this wetness, this water weight, cellulite, weight gain in general, toxicity, inflammation. All of those things would be an accumulation-based disorder. When your body is accumulating, it's in this kapha-based state. A sauna will help with that. And again, same as steam, we're going to be detoxifying, but now we're going to be getting that dry heat. You always talk about people with arthritis. A lot of people in their 70s, 80s love going out to Arizona, love going out to Southern California, and they like that because of the dry heat. There's really something to that. The dry heat takes away that so-called dampness in the joints. It helps with that arthritic pain. Now, if you live in New England like I do, it's damp and it's wet for 5-6 months out of the year. Getting an infrared sauna for your home will make you feel like $1 million sitting in that for 20 to 30 minutes a day. It will get rid of, most likely, you'll get rid of, even if it's just temporarily, that arthritic-based pain. Try it out. Use it when you wake up in the morning. It's absolutely fantastic. Can't recommend detoxification through sweating enough. So if you'd like more information, simply go to stevencabral.com/550. I'll link up our shows on the sauna. I'll link up the water filters. I will link up the 19 minutes, the research right there that I just read. I just stated it, and of how that can decrease all-cause mortality by 40%, and how it can decrease cardiovascular-based issues by over 60%. Remarkable research. Bottom line is, it's going to make you healthier, even if you only use sauna a couple times a week. So hopefully today's show is helpful. As always, please do feel free to share it with anyone that it could help. And if you wouldn't mind just going to iTunes and leaving a quick rating and review, I would be forever grateful. That is what helps this podcast to grow and to share this message with more and more people. Thank you once again for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stevencabral.com/resources.